as her position was taken, might not.
We should focus to this now. Black Friday got off to a slow start with consumers in a subdued mood, unlike the usual buzz. But it turns out this year's Black Friday shopping season is good news for small and medium-sized enterprises in South Africa. To find out why, we speak to Garth Rossiter, Chief Risk Officer at SME Services Provider Lula. Garth, good afternoon, and thank you so much for your time. I'm not sure to say happy Black Friday or not, considering that spending has been subdued. But let's look at the benefit of the recent repo rate of 25 basis points and whether this has been an advantage to consumers.
Hi, Sindy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, Black Friday, traditionally a massive day for retailers in the run-up to that Christmas and festive season. The repo rate, as you mentioned, definitely a 25 basis point cut definitely makes a difference. But what obviously we find is there's a bit of a lag. So we had a decrease a couple of months ago and another one this month, but there's a lag before consumers start to feel that. So that's probably why it's a bit more subdued today. But what we're seeing on the SME side is a lot more positivity. And I think we've seen that in the S&P upgrade of the outlook from stable to positive in the last few months. And that sort of sentiment with the GNU business confidence really drives a lot of positive sentiment across the country.
Okay, let's look at the category of SMEs that could benefit from the Black Friday opportunities or even bargains, if you will. Are these largely fast-moving goods or consumer goods or events, logistics, or, smaller scale businesses that can benefit? And what exactly are they benefiting to the economy?
Yeah, well, I suppose the two questions there is which sectors benefit most. So what we've seen, obviously, consumers over the last few years have been really under pressure with high interest rates. So what we're finding in this Black Friday is the sort of retailers, the smaller goods are benefiting more than the sort of top-end, high-end luxury goods. So I think that's the sort of sector on the retail side where we're seeing more benefit. People are still a bit cash constrained. That will sort of loosen up over the coming months, and I think which is super positive for SMEs looking forward. For SMEs, generally speaking, I mean, these businesses create 60% of our private sector jobs in South Africa, so they really need a little bit of tailwinds with all the headwinds they've been having. So the lack of load shedding we've been seeing, as I mentioned, the GNU, the lower inflation, there are a few factors which really are going to drive positive sentiment in the SME side, which means they're going to start investing more. And that's going to be great for the economy, generally speaking. And as consumers start spending more, they're going to see that benefit.
Yeah, as you were saying, the SME sector is the cornerstone of growing the economy and creating employment, Garth. And the sectors that are very critical is in the production, the manufacturing, the guys that will build factories and employ people. So how then is this going to benefit them? Should they be looking at bargains to buy, repurposed tires in bulk? Or what is it that they are now looking to do to make sure that they have the requisite stock when the economy turns?
Yeah, no, exactly. So I suppose it benefits SMEs on the demand side as well as the supply side. So from the demand side, where they are going to see the benefit from the consumers, but the supply side, where really there are a lot of opportunities where their suppliers are looking to get rid of stock. And Black Friday originated because to allow retailers to get rid of some of their excess stock. And that's something, I mean, all retailers are trying to do. So there will be bargains across the board for big and smaller companies. And I guess what we're trying to, or what we're seeing is that the guys who advertise, the businesses who advertise tend to be the more consumer-focused retailers versus the business sector, the business-to-business sales, where you don't see those Black Friday adverts. But I think a lot of these businesses are trying to get rid of excess stock in the run-up to the new year as well. So I think there'll be a lot of benefit across all businesses when looking for those sort of deals.
Yeah, are you saying maybe the micro businesses are missing an opportunity, albeit they wouldn't have such a huge investment in marketing or big budgets, that be it social media or any other platforms, word of mouth, that you could use to push a service or a product during this time when consumers are looking to get a bargain, that SMEs or micro businesses, in fact, can have a bit of traction?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think the Black Friday day itself actually does a lot of marketing for you because consumers expect sales. So they'll contact, or when they visit stores or visit small businesses, they expect something to be happening in terms of a sale. So very often without the marketing, that'll happen. But yes, I mean, social media is an amazing tool these days for businesses to promote themselves and really get their name out there.
Yeah, and generally, how do promotions then impact on your cash flow or your bottom line, Garth, especially if you want to come out of this having made a decent profit that will carry you through the next season?
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on the sort of business you're in, Sindy, but for a retailer generally, a lot of them carry a lot of stock. So in the run-up to this sort of season, they would have got funding, they would have bought the stock, and that's why it's quite important for them to start looking to sell it. As they sell that, obviously they'll generate the revenue, which will drive profitability. And what they need to do is then reinvest that in anticipation of more demand in the coming year, where we think these tailwinds are really going to have a positive impact on the consumer demand.
Yeah, and we know that especially for small, medium enterprises, the network and the value chain needs to work for them to be sustainable. And not only the high-tech innovation and making sure that they appeal to the customers' needs, they need to have a partner that can make things work for them, to leverage on Black Friday, to access markets, etc., such as Lula. How do you achieve all of that?
Yeah, no, it's 100% right. So, I mean, that's obviously a sector or a gap we're trying to fill in this market, where we recognize that SMEs, one of their biggest problems is cash flow, access to cash flow. So I talk about buying stock, but the inability to access the cash flow to buy that stock is often the difference between a failure of a business and massive profitability. So we kind of fill that gap, and it's all about speed, really. If you can get funding quite quickly, that's the sort of gap we fill, is looking to service that cash flow need for small businesses over the short term.
What kind of collateral are you looking for? How then do you secure your investment in this particular business, albeit for a short term?
Yeah, we're very conscious of responsible lending. We don't take collateral, which is what obviously the big banks tend to want from businesses. So we look at the cash flow of the business, we assess the cash flow and ensure that they have the capacity to repay, and we score the business with our alternative data that we use. So a lot of businesses that might not have got funding elsewhere can have access to that sort of funding. And as I said, in terms of responsible lending, we obviously want to make sure that no business we fund is overgeared, and they are able to repay it as well, because it doesn't serve either us or the businesses we fund if they don't succeed. So we've got a vested interest in that success with our businesses.
Yeah, and do you have a threshold as to how much you can lend?
Yeah, we do a maximum of 5 million rand.
Okay, and obviously it has to be a sound business, commercially viable, having to have operated for over 3 years, has got a database or a customer base, and they're able to pay back the money. But Garth, we really appreciate you coming through this Black Friday, and we wish you well. That is Garth Rossiter, Chief Risk Officer at SME Service Provider Lula, speaking to us about the work that they do in the SME sector in granting access to capital when the SME needs it the most, and they need to keep their operations running. But we'll take a quick ad break. We'll see you shortly.